Hey everyone. By now you've known me as Kazama, or Kaz, but actually my name is Kiyoshi. Kiyoshi Tokuyama, or Kiyo for short. Kazama is a username I use online for streaming and other things. So far, you only know what I've told you on stream. But let me tell you my story. My childhood wasn't perfect. I struggled with my grades in school, and if it carried on, I would risk repeating another year. This caused a lot of pressure on my side, which didn't make things easier in my life.
You smell disgusting.
At the same time, there were these guys that simply didn't like me for the way I was, and of course, bullied me for it. I wanted to defend myself, I really did. But unfortunately, the school had a strict policy against fighting on school grounds. I could get expelled if I even tried, and I simply didn't want to risk that. Despite how they acted, they were pretty good in school, and it was my word against them. If I caused trouble and got expelled, it would be another burden onto my family. It was just my luck that we all attended the same dojo together. Luckily, my sensei at the time didn't tolerate mindless violence against each other, and for that, I looked up to him. He was a very wise man, even though quite blindsided by some students that went against his teachings. Even outside of the dojo, I received a heavy beating. I simply didn't stop. I wanted to retaliate, I really did. But I knew that even my sensei had this rule of no fighting outside of the dojo. Probably some sort of code of honor. It wasn't a perfect life, but it was my life. I was happy with my family, even though we struggled financially and had to sometimes cut corners in our lives. My parents tried to distract themselves with hobbies, like my dad cooked and my mom wrote novels. I always avoided talking to them about my problems and tried to shrug off my injuries as accidents. Even though it was hard for me to bottle it all up, they were very supportive, and I could tell they loved me. I could tell they cared for me, since I never received the yelling for my grades. They even helped me improve and get better in school. My mom, for example, managed to explain certain things better than the teachers. My dad even gifted me a real katana, even though he could use the money for something else. That's why I didn't want to disappoint them, after everything they have done for me. Until one day, I went to school to pick up some stuff after my lessons at the dojo. It was a horrible day. Raining, thundering throughout the day. To make matters worse, they were obviously waiting for me at the school, almost like they planned this out. Like always, it started with insults, pushing, and then beating. That's how they normally got to me. However, that day, I snapped and I just couldn't take it anymore. The rush felt incredible, and I managed to defend myself. But when I snapped back, I noticed what I had done. I questioned why I did this, and what kind of consequences would come my way. They reported me to the school and my sensei. Then, without questioning how a single student could handle 3 students and beat them up, they simply exiled me from the dojo and kicked me from the school. This made rounds around the town, and I couldn't join any other school, or dojo for that matter. The only options I had was to move to another town or be homeschooled, and this was financially impossible at the time, since my parents were struggling with the bills. I was a disappointment to them. I could hear them arguing about it every night. It was the worst time of my life. After like a week, my parents had found an alternative. They enrolled me into a school for students like me. What exactly did they mean by that? The school was on an island out in the sea. I had to travel there by train, and eventually by boat. My parents told me that it was a place for students run by students, so I had to find a way to earn money and actually survive somehow. However, I wasn't expecting a sudden gift from my dad, giving me a rice cooker so I could survive at this place. It was a funny gesture, but I took this rice cooker to heart and saw it as some sort of heirloom. To think about it, it was quite silly, but it was sentimental to me, and was something that connected me to my parents. An island made for students, run by students, huh? Pretty unique way to start over. I couldn't say no to that, could I? And that's my story.